I told you there'd be another spooky game before this is all over, and hopefully if I played my cards right, this will be out on Halloween, right on time for the big day. And conveniently for me, the game also got a Halloween update that changed a few little things here and there, so that just adds to the atmosphere even more. Just like before with FMF, this game has a Lovecraftian spin to it, and it's also an action game. But it's definitely built with more modern ideas in mind, like shooting Cthulhu in the face. That's an idea. Is it a smart one? I don't know. We'll have to figure that out as we're going along. Put on your favorite masks and get ready to fight some horrors. This is Madshot. Madshot isn't necessarily off to the best start presentation-wise. That's not to say the style is bad, it's just that I don't really find much notable about it to talk about. The one thing that I can't help but think when I see this game though is old Flash games. And that's a compliment, mind you, I feel I should point that out. This game feels reminiscent of Flash shooters from back in the day on Newgrounds, Congregate, Armor Games, and so on. The style is a little cliche and rough around the edges, but there's a sincerity to it that I just can't help but appreciate. It feels like a callback to games like Zombitron or the myriad of multiplayer 2D Flash shooters from back then, and I appreciate that a good bit. Music and sound design are in a similar camp. It's nothing extraordinary, but it gets the job done. All around, just some decent presentation, and sometimes that's alright. The game is very focused on the gameplay, so the story is very, very light. You play as some guy who, in search of immortality, thought it was a good idea to call on the dark forces of Cthulhu, because that's never ended poorly. Cthulhu, the unfeeling alien monstrosity that it is, murders the man's family and takes over a whole city that I can only assume is somewhere on the coast of New England, probably Maine or Rhode Island. Now the man dons a Cthulhu or jack-o'-lantern themed mask that grants him special powers and goes out to fight his way through the city and up to the big monster itself so he can shoot it in its big tentacled face. It's a very straightforward plot, no real nuances here. It's pretty much just a vehicle for the gameplay. And on that note, the gameplay. As I mentioned in the presentation section, Madshot is a 2D platforming arena shooter. You aim with the mouse and run around with WASDs as standard, with some acrobatic jumping and wall climbing you can do as well to get around your enemies. The catch is the gameplay loop, as Madshot is a roguelike game. You start out with a basic set of stats, a starting weapon, your mask, and have to fight your way through various encounters to get to the boss and proceed to the next stage. Repeat the process until Cthulhu is dead. Of course, this means that you're expected to die many, many times along the way, saving up your special currency that follows you after death, so you can use that to upgrade and augment your abilities until you are sufficiently able to get all the way up to the final boss. The core gameplay loop is basic, but the devs certainly knew how to make it engaging. I found myself getting into a bit of a rhythm after a while, learning enemy patterns and stage layouts as I fought and died over and over, repeating the process until I got my next new unlock. The The sidearms and augmentations you can get along the way are varied enough to keep you guessing, while also consistent enough that you can still learn a certain build and reliably play it most of the time as well. So you're not solely dependent on RNG deciding that you're going to have a good run this time around. Although sometimes RNG will seemingly screw you over, but by then you're hopefully in that rhythm I mentioned earlier, so you can backflip and gun-fu your way through that scarecrow boss that interrupted your really good run. All in all, the gameplay doesn't really try anything new, but it's solid in its execution and fun for what it is. And honestly, that's sort of how I feel about Madshot in general. The game feels very cookie-cutter Cthulhu in its premise, very simple in its roguelike gameplay loop, pretty much everything, but it doesn't really feel like it's trying to do anything new or groundbreaking. It's just trying to be a roguelite with solid gameplay you can just pick up and enjoy, and it nails that perfectly well. This has been TheRatMan, and I will see you all later. Happy Halloween.